Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Filipino Time. I'm your host Francis Aguila, and once again I'm here with our good friend George C. Thanks a lot, George, for coming.
No problem.
You guys will remember George from our Hong Kong episode, and he served as our tour guide slash watch guru. And once again, we're calling on George's expertise to help us out this really impressive collection of watches here that I would say are not that easy to find, even if you did have the budget for it. And so I wanted to start really quickly, George, with this one here, kind of on off center, this AP, and well, the Royal Oak. So what makes the Royal Oak, so desirable?
Well, this was, you can't call it a homage to Gerald Genta from the original watch he designed for AP. So it doesn't have the second hand. By the way, this is the 40th anniversary.
I see. What distinguishes the 40th anniversary from the other standard?
It's a blue dial, and the logo is at 6 o'clock.
Versus the logo being
at 12.
I see. And then this printed Audemars Piguet would be absent. Or moved.
I think it's the same.
Okay, all right, I see. So this is an homage to the first model he designed for them. Was it also Royal Oak, or was it called something else?
No, it was a Royal Oak.
It was still Royal Oak, and it had that Genta signature look where it was a porthole and with that nautical theme.
Yes, actually, it's the counterpart of the Patek Philippe 3700.
I see. Also the nautical theme with the porthole look.
Yes.
The slightly octagon bezel. So what else about the 40th anniversary makes it special?
It's thinner than its predecessor 39mm, which was the 15300. It's discontinued, but for me personally, I like that fit better than this.
As always, George doesn't mince his words. So, as befitting of a real watch guy. But going back to this one, is there anything else special about it, like the movement?
No, the movement is the same as the ordinary 15202, the black dial. I think the movement's the same.
Is this a limited edition?
No, it's not a limited.
It's not, but it is hard to find.
Yes.
So, if I walked up to an Audemars dealer, chances are I would not find this on the shelves.
Put you on a waiting list, 8 years.
Really? Is it the waiting list 8 years?
Yeah.
Wow. What do you know what the production numbers are for something like this?
No, I
no idea.
No idea.
Well, whatever it is, it's not enough for the demand.
It's the counterpart of the 5711 of Patek.
I see. What would retail be on one of these?
About 1.7, 1.9.
That would be roughly retail. But what does it really go for?
Probably 1.1, 1.2 if you can get it from the AD.
Really? 1.1, 1.2?
Yeah. If you can get it from the AD.
From the AD?
Yeah.
I see. So 1.1, 1.2, but you really expect it to pay 1.7 to 1.9?
Yeah, if you can get your I mean, it depends on how fast you want it.
Yeah, but if you would
how badly you want it.
If you go to the AD and wait 8 years, then maybe you'll get the price that you want.
Probably the price in 8 years would be this normal price.
That's true. There's a lot of the watches, like just something as simple as the GMT Master, right?
Yeah.
I remember when they were the 400 something range, and retailers.
You were in line already.
I was in line so long ago. Thanks for bringing up that painful memory, George. But yes, I was in line so long ago. But now the retails are 500 plus.
Yes.
So if I had paid the reseller price back then, I would have made money already.
Yeah.
It's nuts, no? Well, this one is definitely a very beautiful watch, and I love the waffle dial in particular. That always gets to me. I've never been a really big AP guy, but the waffle dial really gets to me. And I love the baton markers. They're very simple. And this one in particular, I'm not a big fan of like the offshores and the other special variants, but this one in particular is the one I would have.
You must understand that these are not the top of the line of each brand.
Yeah, okay.
But somehow they're so difficult to get.
What would be the top of the line for Audemars then?
Well, you have the perpetuals, you have the offshores.
But these are the ones that you wouldn't be able to find just anywhere.
Yes.
So if you were a watch guy and someone was wearing an offshore in this, which one would you notice first?
Well, in fairness though, it's really loud. The offshore is really loud.
So you notice the offshore because it's so loud. All right. Well, we'll do this one very, very briefly because this is a model I'm pretty sure most of our viewers are very familiar with, and you might be tired of seeing another Rolex on this show, this program. But just very quickly, still to this day,
Yeah, it's still difficult to get.
and it's been out for a few years now. So 3 years now,
Yeah, probably 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years now, and you still can't get one.
Yeah, not easily. Well, if you're willing to pay a very high premium, I'm sure you could find one.
What's the premium on one of these right now?
I think it's almost 1.2 million.
Wow, still.
Yeah.
3 years later, it's still that premium. But the retail is really what, 7 something?
Yeah, I think about 780.
Wow.
Or to 800.
Well, you guys out there, you're very familiar with the Daytona, so I won't spend too much time on this. But actually, one of the things that I was really looking forward to today was we have a very, very nice selection of Pateks. Not to lie, I don't know what the correct word is. Is it Jordan? Is it the correct word? So I'm just gonna say I'm gonna call it not to lie and pretend that I'm correct.
No, but if you follow watch collectors, basically, if you have this, you'll eventually gradually move to these.
So this is the stepping stone.
I think that's the goal of most watch collectors. I mean, for Rolex, they eventually want to have a Daytona.
Yeah.
And once they have it, they probably want to have these.
This is the next. So from here, the next logical step would be to these other ones here.
Yes.
Specifically this 5711, right?
Yes.
So this is the one you were saying these aren't the highest, the most expensive models that these makers, watchmakers produce. But the 5711, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is the Patek to have.
Yes.
So
For the commoner.
for the and so for people like me who are below commoners. See, this is why we're on the show. We have the show. So below commoners, like we can actually hold stuff like this.
Because if you decide to sell in the future, it's easy to move.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there are higher models that are highly collectible.
Sure.
But once you decide to move it, it's very difficult.
I see. Is that partly why these are the most desirable? Partly because of that quote unquote easy to move, easy to resell status?
And also probably it's the cheapest line of
Next to the Aquanaut.
Next to the Aquanaut.
But that makes sense. So I guess if you're just coming up on your first fortune, these would be within your price range.
Yes.
That does make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So for the 5711, why would this be the most desirable or the most difficult to find of the not the lie? Sorry.
Not to line.
Okay. So you guys out there, if not to lie is not the right term, please let us know in the comments below. I wouldn't mind your input on this one, but until further notice, I'm calling it not a lie. So, because it's the entry level, I suppose.
Entry level, and again, it's a Genta design.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if they came out the same year, but these are the main rivals. These two.
I see. So these two would be like, I guess Ferrari and Lamborghini.
Yes.
I know you were saying, so which one is Ferrari, which one is Lamborghini, George? George, by the way, also is a car guy. We met because we were both car guys, but which one's the Ferrari, which is the Lamborghini?
Probably Ferrari would be the Patek, and Lamborghini would be the AP.
So all you out there, just in case you're car guys too, if you have a Lambo, Ferrari, but seriously, going back to the Nautilus. So this is also Genta design, and actually, if you look very, very closely, you can actually see the slight octagonal shape on the bezel, right? You can see this. It's not. It's much more subtle than on the AP, but it's there, right? It's the porthole looking
I think this
bezel.
was designed. I think it was inspired by the porthole of the ship.
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
And this one is I think it's the old diving.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. No, I stand corrected. Yeah, okay. I can see it. That's why it also has the rivets. That does make a lot of sense. So one would be the porthole, but both again the nautical theme, right? Would they be considered dive watches?
No,
Not even close.
no, I don't think so.
Okay,
But the Nautilus line of Patek is considered as a sports watch.
I see. Whereas this would be not.
I think
Not quite.
not quite.
Not quite. So same question as the earlier ones. If you were able to get this at the AD, what would this run for?
Here now, I think around 1.9.
1.9 at the AD.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get it in the open market,
Wow, over 3 mil.
wow. So this is greater than this plus this.
Yes.
So I guess this is the order of 1, 2, 3 like this, or let me
No,
rephrase
just
that.
put it
1,
this
2,
way.
3. I should say. Okay.
This is cost more than the Daytona Platinum.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So over 3, well over 3.
Yes.
Wow. Well, fitting that we're talking about this last, and it being the more expensive of these three, right? Am I also to assume that this would be the most desirable of the three, or the most difficult to find of these three?
I think the 5980 would be the most difficult to find.
I see. Oh, I'm sorry. Among these ones first, George, the Rolex, the AP, and the Patek.
I think the easiest would be the Daytona.
Okay.
Next would be the AP.
And this would be the most difficult.
Most difficult.
All right. Well, now actually, let's move on very quickly. One of the reasons why I was really looking forward to this episode was that we have here in front of us, thanks to several different collectors. These don't belong. Well, you guys would know. You guys would recognize this as being one of mine, and you'll know the scratches for sure. This is one of mine. But the rest of these actually came from a bunch of different collectors that graciously allowed us to borrow their watches for today's episode. So you guys know who you are. Thanks very much. Shout out to you guys. I'll put these two aside, one each side, and we can focus a little bit on the Nautilus line here.
Yeah.
And so you were talking about from
Wait,
5711.
we
Okay.
talk first for the
Okay, sure.
about
The
the
5712 first. All right. Okay, so main difference 5711, 5712, obvious ones, moon phase, date, and the second hand would be here, and power reserve, right?
Yes.
So from the 5711 to 5712, this would strictly speaking be one model up.
Yes, because it has complication.
Multiple complications. But, and I'm not a Patek expert or connoisseur, but I really like how this is much cleaner than this. I find this a little bit cluttered.
And it's off-centered.
And is that
It's off-center. The name,
oh yeah, that's oh yeah. Is that on purpose? I guess it would be on
yes,
purpose.
Yes.
I don't know, something. It's interesting.
Yeah. Now, because it's so difficult to get this,
One of these.
the 5711.
Yes.
Those who can't wait anymore settle for the 5712.
Wow, that's a really hard life if you have to settle for a 5712. Whoever out there is settling for a 5712, I pity you. My gosh. Yes, I'm being sarcastic. But both with a beautiful blue dial. It's a bit of a. It's not even a flat blue like the AP. It's kind of like a lighter blue in the middle and gets darker in the edges. What else, do they share even the case? Is the case thickness the same, or is it really just the what do you call this? The movement that's different and the dial, obviously.
I think so. I think they have the same case.
Earlier, you were telling me that this model has what they call the micro rotor.
Yes.
So actually, I wanted to. Well, you guys will see this in the photos a little bit later, but I found the micro rotor very interesting, and I wonder. I know me and you talked about it, and neither of us actually know the answer to this question, and so I'm throwing this out there, out to the world to give us some answers. But the way I understand it, if the rotor is smaller, wouldn't that make it more difficult to wind the mainspring? So if you guys know why they did that, it's very cool looking. It's very interesting. None of the other Pateks, these ones don't have them.
In fact, top of mind, I can only think of the 5140 Perpetual and this having the micro rotor.
The only thing I can think of is maybe they'd have to shrink it so that they could fit all the different complications. But
Probably.
again, if you guys out there know what the real answer is, I'd love to hear it. So same questions. So if you're telling me that these guys who are settling for a 5712, I would imagine in the AD this would be more expensive.
Yes.
So if we said earlier this would be around how much again, George?
1.9.
1.9. This would be closer to what?
I think that's over 2 million.
Over 2 million now. But we know that this is 3 plus in the open market.
They're the same price.
And they are the same price.
Yes.
Wow. Despite the fact that this is the supposedly higher model.
And when you decide to sell later on, this fetches a higher price. The 5711.
Wow. So this really is the one to have.
Yeah.
At least until we talk about the chrono.
Yes.
I know that's your favorite. Let's take a closer look. It's a much heftier watch, huh?
Yeah, it has a different case.
Yeah, much thicker, significantly thicker, but the case size looks about the same. Is that right?
Yeah, they look this, but if you use a caliper, there's a difference.
Oh, I see.
It's thicker.
Yeah, definitely. And then the bezel looks, again, just by my eyes, it looks almost the same. But when you put them on, definitely you'll feel one is much larger than the other.
If you look at it, the 5711 looks a bit bigger.
Okay.
Because the dial is closer. The 57 is closer
to the crystal.
To the crystal, and this is deeper. The 5980 is deeper.
You're right. That does make sense. This looks slightly smaller somehow because it's further away, no? And I guess that's to make room
for the movement.
The movement. Yeah, possibly, or maybe just they had to raise this up a little bit to make room for the sub dial because it doesn't look like it's recessed much or even at all. The sub dial looks almost flush to the dial, and my eyes aren't that great, but maybe that's why. Maybe they had to give a little extra space for the regular hands. So this is a chronograph.
Yes, and it's discontinued.
Oh, and this is discontinued.
The steel is discontinued.
I see, and this is a steel one, no? But they would have this in the precious metals now.
Yes, they do have it.
I see. But in general, and I had a very interesting conversation with a couple of guys. We realized that the stainless steel models, generally speaking, are the ones that become more sought after. And why is that? You would think the intrinsic value of the precious metals would make them.
Yeah, because gold is more expensive.
Yeah, more expensive.
Steel.
And I would assume that they were made in smaller numbers because they were in precious metals. Yeah. Why are the steel ones more valuable? I mean, relatively speaking, more valuable.
Probably they're more versatile. Can wear anywhere.
Or what you said earlier, because they're more the entry level and more people can afford them. Possibly.
Yeah.
Well, I found it very interesting, and I like stainless steel myself. They don't scratch very easily, but like this one, I would imagine that, under logically, if the newer ones are precious metal, those would be more sought after. But I think I am right in saying that the stainless steel is really much more sought after than the precious metal ones.
Yes.
Okay, I know this is discontinued. When it came out, what were the prices on these?
In fact, I've never seen one in an AD.
Wow. Okay, if George has not seen one in an AD, that means something. Do we know roughly what? Okay, so let's just pretend that no one knows. But what would the going rate for some? If I hit the lotto, which I wish I did after that gigantic lotto number, and I was gonna go for one of these, what would it set me back?
I think 3 weeks ago, Hong Kong sold one for 580 Hong Kong.
Wow, that's
580,000 Hong Kong.
What's the conversion of that? 4 million? Is it right?
Yeah, almost.
Right around 4 million?
Yes.
Wow, I don't want to hold this anymore. But if you're telling me that you had to think back to someone who sold one in Hong Kong not too long ago, that gives me an indication of exactly how difficult this is to find.
Yes. Aside from being discontinued, I mean, the market's growing.
Do you think the market will continue to be this robust for for this level of watches? We're talking about million peso and up range watches. Do you think it'll continue, especially with the current economic climate?
I don't know.
In other words, is it a good time to buy?
No.
No?
It's too, I mean, 3 million. I mean, you'd think twice, right?
I wouldn't even think, because the first thing we say, I can't afford it. But for most people out there, what would you recommend? I mean, would you recommend a watch like this, given that? Okay, let's remove the speculation for pricing aside. Why would you recommend one of these to a watch collector or a watch lover?
Well, basically, maybe it's for more of the Philippine climate. I mean, full bracelet is more suitable for this country over leather.
Sure, yeah, that makes
And
sense.
for me, that's my main reason.
Of these ones, rank them in order of which one you would have.
Personal choice because of looks.
Sure.
I like. Well, we don't have it here because is the annual calendar, the 5726.
Yes.
But
Another Nautilus for you guys out there.
yeah, but sad to say, it's at the bottom of the food chain in the Nautilus line.
Really?
It's
Why
the
is that?
least desirable.
But it's the one you like the most.
That's the one I like because it's balanced. The dial's very balanced, similar to the 5711.
I see.
I mean, the 5711 is beautiful, but I mean, shelling out 3 million for a three-hander steel watch is hard to swallow.
Okay, so for the annual calendar, what would you expect to pay for something like that?
Maybe,
2.9 million.
No, for used,
Yeah.
maybe 2.3.
2.3. I see. Still very substantial.
Yeah.
So that would be first. What would be second? If you'd rank these,
In terms of looks,
sure.
Yeah.
This is just personal preference. Yeah,
personal
nothing to
preference,
do with
yeah,
resale
not
or
resale.
like I said, we're throwing out the speculative discussions here and just purely your personal opinion
Yeah.
of what you would have.
Maybe next would be this.
Yeah, the 5711. Next,
The 5980.
all right.
Well, because I rank that personally, same as our colleague, we're not fond of the bullseye dial.
Okay, fair enough.
And the 5712 because it's off-centered.
Okay, so in that order.
Yes.
And then I guess the 80 and the Daytona are just your afterthoughts.
It's more of, if you have a 5711, I mean, it's best to pair it with the 15202 AP.
I see. Those are the ones that are more
You have
the same level, same class.
same level.
More, I mean, relatively speaking. I see. Now, before I wrap up, I noticed that you're wearing something very, very different, but quite similar in the sense that our good friend James Oyesho, who was a guest of ours here not too long ago, had dubbed this beautiful G-Shock that George is wearing as, what did he call it, George? The digital
Nautilus.
So it goes with our theme, the digital. I wish I wore my digital Aquanaut today if I had known you were wearing that. But actually, that watch is fairly hard to get also. I mean, obviously it's a completely different price range as what we have here, but
Yes.
those are pretty tough to get as well.
Yes. It's the 35th anniversary.
Like, you can't get them any in the stores right now.
Right now, not.
And retail was, I think, was it
For 40? I think 40.
Was it 40?
Yeah, or under 40.
A little bit under
In the
40.
line of-
But the reseller market was selling at as high as what?
Well, when it first came out, as high as 60.
Wow. So it goes to show that it doesn't necessarily have to be in the million peso range for it to be a very sought after stainless steel sports watch.
Yes. There are even Seikos. They are sought after Seikos.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So, the moral of the story here is if you know this, George, his own watch, beautiful. I'm a big G-Shock fan, as all you guys know out there. It's not necessarily about the price. It's not necessarily about, what other people think of it. It's really what you want out of it,
Yes.
right? The same way that your favorite Patek is, Nautilus would be the annual calendar.
Yeah. It's like, we always compare to cars, right?
Yeah.
For cars, I mean, you can get to a place faster, more comfortable. But for watches, they're really different way to tell time. On one way.
And on that note, let that be a lesson to all of you. It's not how much your watch is worth, it's how much you appreciate it.
Yes.
I think that's the moral of the story.
Yes.
All right, guys. George, thanks again so much
My pleasure.
for dropping by.
Yes.
And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Today we had a very, how do I say this? A very expensive group of watches here. And I thought it was a really nice change of pace to see a lot of, especially the Pateks and the G-Shock. Thanks, guys. Take care. That wraps up this week's episode. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I had a blast talking to George as always and seeing these beautiful watches, one of mine in particular. And I hope you guys liked it as well. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, violent reactions, I hope none of those. But if you do, please put them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. I did throw out some questions out there that I genuinely would like to know. So if some of you more educated watch lovers out there know the answers to these questions, please do drop a line, and so we know exactly what to say next time. Appreciate it, and as always, take care.